No. Go ahead.
Where is the... We'd like to call the work session to order. The first item on the agenda is just to review the 2023 budget review and the process that we use for that. The first thing we do when we set a budget is we set our millage levy and a budget assumption, which is done between the assessing department and the accounting department. So this year we actually have a slight reduction in the tax levy that we had previously last year. There was a Headley rollback, which that is implemented when the annual growth on existing property is greater than the rate of inflation. So we will have a Headley rollback, which means the taxable base is growing. So that's actually good news, at least now. And as we all know, we've been through economic recession in 08, 09, and they use the same words now. And so we're a little concerned, and we're keeping an eye on all the indicators, like building houses, when that starts coming back, dropping down in numbers, the rate of inflation, it all plays into the budget that we adopt. The fire, pension, and retiree health care millage was decreased this year from 1.1 mil to 0.81. And this was due to the reduction in the annual required contribution for the fire pension and the employee benefits, which is called OPEB. Another good sign that it's getting fully funded, but a slight change in the investment could make those numbers change next year. So I get excited, but I'm a little concerned at the same time. The L4029, which is a tax levy that we had, it's our tax rate for all of our millages, and that was adopted by this board on August 16th. There was an increase of 5.3% from last year's taxable value to this year. We take the Renaissance zone and the properties that have payment in lieu of taxes, and we put them into, deduct those from the taxable value in order to get what we use for our budget. So there's a taxable value the assessing department has, and then we use that with the budget minus a lot of things and projections. We had payment in lieu of taxes. That's what pilots are in 08 and 09. And that was the Holly Creek, Walls Manor, which is off of Ellsworth and Hewitt. Delinquent personal property, Board of Review adjustments, and the LDFA. And that is all deducted from your taxable value when you're doing a budget. So you have taxable value, like I said, assessing, and then you have to take it to the budget process. The taxable value in 2022 for the budget was $1,471,873,553. This year budget has a projected 5% increase, 5.6. That's $1,548,535, $535,588. So the actual taxable value is growing in Ypsilanti Township. We have some investments with some new development, so that's good. Creation of jobs. So the calculation of the total budget tax dollars received is $22,222,570. You add the administrative tax revenues that are collected, and they can only be used to offset the cost of the assessment in the Treasury Department, and that's over $959,000. The actual cost of the two departments, the actual cost of the department is $825,000. The revenue is $818,000. You can't collect more revenue than it costs to administer those two departments, and that's a state law. The state shared revenue estimate for 2023 is $6,328,404. It's a 3.4 decrease from 2022 current state projection. The difference in this is that the state budget is on a different cycle than ours. So you have to look back to collect the tax revenue for the next year, because 3 months of it is in the state budget, which is different than ours. You know, one time, and I don't know if the board wants to consider this, we had talked about putting it on the state budget cycle. And isn't the county the same as the state, John?
No. The county is January to December.
It's the same.
Yeah. I know Wayne County changed their fiscal year from September to October to align with the grants.
Yes. Yeah. So at some point, if the board wants to talk about, doing. Yeah. YCUA is on the same as the state. Yeah. So that's something the board can discuss in the future if they want to. So we have constitutional payments, which is your population. That increased because we had an increase in our population. The expenditure assumptions for the funds, we had TPOAM, Teamsters, and 14B court union employees, 3% increase was budgeted for 2023 as an assumption. The Teamsters union contract expires in 12/24. So all other union contracts are currently in negotiations and ready to go to the union and to the board, probably within the next 6 weeks. We have a non-union management increase, which is budgeted for the same as the union. The fire union increase is 3%, which is contracted January 21st, 2020 to 2023. And the elected officials' salary are set by resolution every year. So that comes under a separate resolution. We did not budget any increase since it has to come to the board. Historically, we budgeted the same as the other employees. We have a MERS pension plan. And this year's liability it's annually determined, and they do what's called an ARC. So you have to, every year, every local government and county government and state government has to report what is your liability for your pension plan and for your health care. And it's on a dashboard so everyone can see it. We budget for a flat rate per employee hired before 2014. And this increased from $28,000 to $32,000 per employee. And this is due because we closed the retirement account for new employees. And there's a separate new employee retiring in 2021. So they're separated out. So that one's a closed account. And then they have a different account for after 2014. For OPEB retiree health care, that too is calculated every year and everyone has to show it. And we're at 76%, 83% funding for them. So we keep going up, but if the economy hits and they change the actuarial, then it can go right back down. That's the hardest part on doing a budget. It's more fluid, but we get our numbers for 2 years, and then they do a review of it and then we have to change it. Depends on the investment. Are there any questions on what's been stated so far? And the employee pension is also tracked separately than the general fund employees. So that's a separate millage and has to be managed separately. And we've had reduction in that as well this year. But I'm very concerned about what's going to happen next year. So we go through the process of sending out the draft budget to everyone and post it on our website. And then we set up meetings to go over in work session each of the different departments. So I was wondering if you want to set them up and do like general fund and 4 or 5 other departments and go over them like our overall arching view. Since our budget actually is line item, and I don't think you'll find a budget like this anywhere else that really explains every line item in a budget. And it is easier and it's more transparent and it's clearer, absolutely. And people can ask very specific questions because each line item, and it's a $44 million budget. So I wish more governments would do that. That would help us understand where the dollars are going. But they don't, and they don't have to. We just choose to do that, but it's not required to do that. I think to set up the meetings, we have to have the latest we can adopt it is December 6th board meeting. So if you want to do it like last year and, go through every department, or just, if we just do the general fund as one, bike path, sidewalks and road millage, the parks budget, fire, and just break them up.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
My, I guess, preference would be to sort of do them grouped up like that, just more of an overarching one. But if we could also just look at the 14B court as one as well, because I know that we've had some revenue concerns of how that's being funded in the past.
Mm-hmm. So do them as kind of overarching, like general fund, all in one, and then we just have to schedule them out to make sure that we have our work sessions in time to adopt it on 12/6, which we should. There's no issues, in the past, shouldn't be any issues now. And then we'll have the accountant, come and do the overview of it, of each fund, like the general fund, the police fund, the fire fund, to make sure. But our audit report showed that, we're in very good financial shape, but it could change. And that's the scariest part is, I feel like I have PTSD almost from 08 and 09, and I don't know the members of the audience, we lost 30% of our taxable value during that time. And it was scary. We had to reduce staff. We went to 32 hours. There was just so many, serious things that had to be dealt with. And we did buyouts in the fire department to make sure that we had a good financial stable community for our residents, because it's not our money, it's a residents' money, and we have to make sure we're cautious and careful with how you budget it and spend it. So I'm glad we made it through that time, and I have a feeling that we're headed towards a really bad time again financially, and I think we're still stable in the township budget. We have the adequate reserves to help have the cushion if something really big happens. Well, just like 14B court. It's the most we've ever transferred to it. And it's over 800,000. It was never like that before. Recreation is the same way. Golf course is coming back, so that's, during COVID, so many things happened. So we'll go over each one and we'll schedule it out then. you guys want to have a separate one from these scheduled work sessions, or do you want to do it on the same day like we have?
Are you saying, like, schedule a separate work session where we only do the budget? And
Yeah.
the whole thing? I mean,
Then it won't interfere with,
the,
we can just,
I think we'll have to set the public hearing by the first weekend of November.
November.
Yeah.
So,
Just-
Madam Chair, you're saying we would just be doing the budget in that work session?
Yeah.
Be a special meeting for that purpose?
Well, we can do that, and, if that's all right with the board, but we can always do it together. That's how we've always done it in the past, but I know it takes away from other agenda items when we do that. And
Sounds good.
so just think about it, and
Sounds good to me.
we,
I just think separate, because then the focus stays on the budget.
I'm sorry?
I was thinking to have separate meetings because the focus can stay on the budget as opposed to move to something else.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would be okay with that.
And then, and we'll check everyone's schedule, and we'll post it so the public knows, and everyone's invited, of course. But I think that would be better, and it wouldn't take away as much from the agenda items at hand. All right, so we'll work on doing that and shoot for the December 6th public hearing. And Debbie, I know you and John and Jimmy have other jobs, but so after 5 o'clock is better? 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, what's better? 5 o'clock, okay.
If you need help, I can.
Yep. All right, then that's what we'll work towards that and get a schedule out and everything and have it for, at the next meeting, though, we are going to have some of the budget, general fund. We got to start. And then we'll look for another schedule. How's that? Any other questions on it? Does that sound good to you guys? The next item then is the Community Resource Center. And Joanne's here, so we've had several discussions with Joanne and the West Willow members, and we need to upgrade, I don't know if upgrade's a word, but do the maintenance and improvements like you do your house, which it literally is a house. It's a community resource center on Tyler Road in West Willow, and we just want to make sure we do it according to our process since it's a public asset. So we're out there, and our building department actually went out and looked at it. Our building director and our building inspector, both who have their own business as builders, so they know. But they said to replace a roof and downspouts, remove the chimney because there's no need for the chimney anymore. Replace the windows and window sills, new siding, install a foundation wall or barrier because the groundhogs continue to get up. I think I don't know how many, I've never seen such big groundhog in my life underneath a house. And they're very comfortable there as well. But we got to stop them from getting in. And the house is very old, and there was no real foundation wall, and that's how they were getting in. So it was highly recommended that the first priority is to get rid of them and remove them and relocate them, whatever they do, and then actually build a barrier. That has to be step one. Another thing that the residents suggested, because they have the garden on one side and the spigot is on the other side, so small things like that can be addressed, and we need to think of everything while we're doing the improvements. And they need to central air, because right now they have a big window air conditioner. It's really not efficient in handling it, and the doors open a lot too. So it's just not a good system that's there. So look at possibly putting central air in, which is all done. Like, I don't know how long it takes to do all that, but you do it all at once so that you can, once you remove the vermin, then we can move on to the other stuff. So, and then replace exterior and storm doors and install security and a new lock pad. So you just, instead of having a key right now, you can just put a code in. And I know that other, Washtenaw County does things there, YMCA, there's different groups that utilize this resource center. It's not, just West Willow. There's a lot of other groups that use it, and it's a good thing. So I just wanted to bring this forward to discuss it at the board, to see about investing in this asset and improving it, and the recommendations to move it forward. What do you guys think about it, or support it?
Madam Chair, I would support. It's our property, and I think that the building does a lot of good work in the community, and it's a good gathering space, which I know is something that, we've discussed as a priority. As certain board members have met on other committees, so I'd be in support of doing the work.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
it hasn't went as far to get bids yet, right?
No, we haven't,
Under
we
discussion.
didn't move to that phase until I wanted to make sure.
So I guess my question is also, has it been submitted outlined for every project we're looking at? Has it been outlined? Like air condition, the storm windows, all of that? Has it been submitted either by Joanne or, well, I know the residents have made an indication also out there, but it hasn't been submitted to the township?
Yeah, the building official actually went out and looked at it. It's kind of similar to what we did at the rec center when we renovate it
Okay.
and improve it, and then they go through a process.
Someone has been out to look at it?
The building
That's
official did, yeah,
Okay, thank you.
to help us with that. And then we'll come back, with estimates for it.
Thank you.
I think it's a great idea to take care of the asset. I'd also be interested in just thinking, I know water, that was one thing we talked about that's in there, but also just the idea of like, is it meeting the electrical needs? And maybe even possibly thinking about some solar panels or working with somebody to look for that, because I know with the market and other things, like, I don't know how that works for the needs, but I think it's at least, if we're going to do something, that'd be time to look at that too. So I'd like to maybe have that as part of the consideration. I mean, everything's outlined here, but I think that would be helpful to look at that too, meeting the needs for the activities that are happening where it might be electrical needs too.
All right, so we can look at that. And I should have mentioned that Trustee Wilson's absent for whoever's doing the minutes, and Attorney Winters, he might, I'm not sure if he'll be here, he might be, depending, he had procedures, so. So we'll proceed with that and get some estimates for the step one then, which would be vermin removal and the barrier put in, and then get more estimates and bring it back to the board. Everything that we do will come back to the board and have 3 estimates on it. Yeah.
Yes.
We did improve the driveway this year because we put stone in, and that was done in-house too. So if they can do it in-house, they will, and that was real helpful. All right, well, then we'll get that, and I'll proceed with, and bring it back to the board with the estimates and stuff. The next item is, we have the agenda, which is a resolution for the special assessment levy. Clerk Rowe?
So the first thing on our agenda tonight is our public hearing for special assessments, special assessment districts that are located within the charter township. This is something that we have to do every year, and we set the date 2 meetings ago. So tonight will be the hearing.
And special assessments are for street lights, cameras that we have.
Sidewalks and drains. Yep. And just as a matter of information, there's a special assessment roll book that's kept in the assessor's office as well as the clerk's office that's always available for anyone to come who's interested in looking at those. They'd also show up, if you're a part of a special assessment district on your tax bill breakdown. If you're not familiar with BSNA or the property search on ytown.org, it's really an informal way or an informational way to learn more about your tax bill and how, that's broken down. You can actually see specifically how much you pay for, say, the library or the fire department here, so.
A lot of people don't see it, because if you have a mortgage, it goes to the mortgage company, and Stan, I think you're going to change that this year. Right. So that, what are you going to elaborate? Elaborate on what you want to do?
Just the assessments, so they go directly to the residents, so they see those ahead of time, rather than to your mortgage company where you may not see those. And so you have a better understanding why you're paying those millage rates and just give people a better and more transparent look at what their tax rates are and why.
Because if it goes to the mortgage company, the residents don't see.
They never see it, and
And a lot of people have mortgages, of course.
right.
And I know that they've asked about that, especially with the Willow Run.
There's confusion over why residents in the township, depending on which school district or former school district they live in, why the millage rates are so different. And historically, that's never been presented to residents so that they see that. And so we want to make sure that they see that and understand it and are able to ask questions. And we've tried multiple times through state representatives, through Lansing and everyone else to get that changed so that former West Willow School District residents are not paying a substantial, or what did I say, Willow Run, sorry, a substantially higher millage rate, in my opinion. So we're still trying to combat that, so those folks that live in the former Willow Run district are paying a more equitable and proper millage rate. But until then, we want to make sure they understand it and see it and are able to question it.
And I know, like, the taxes are going to go up. Your tax bill is going to go up because of inflation, but there's been no millages approved. So, to explain that to people, I think would be helpful, because and I'll just use my house for an example. My estimated increase was $116 plus a $55 drain assessment that I was just notified. And there's been no increases in millages, but yet, your taxes go up. It's 5%, the rate of inflation, whichever is less. So inflation is 8.1, I think. So it's going to go up 5%. What you pay is going to go up because of that. So we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to understand that. And what Stan's talking about doing will help that a lot, because people don't know how much goes to the township, the schools, the county. Because they don't see it. Whereas if you paid your mortgage off, and you will get a direct tax payment for that.
Madam Chair, just as a matter of continuing that, so for my home, we escrow our taxes, so it all goes into escrow. And I recently had a resident reach out to me, and he said, I think there's a problem with my tax bill. And it turns out that there was, because there's an 18 mil for the school districts that is not on residential homes, but when he moved into the township, they never filed the paperwork appropriately. So he was being levied an additional 18 mils, which equaled about $3,000 on his tax bill that we were able to, with the help of Stan's office and assessing, correct. But had he not just paused and said, wait, is that right? That looks like an awful lot. He would have never known and continued to pay that. So, and again, when you move into a new municipality, it's really important to make sure that those papers get filed with the assessing department. But it was a great example of why, just this is really going to help our residents. So sorry, go ahead, Stan.
I would just share with you that we learned earlier today, the county on your tax bills used to lay those out so you could see where those millage dollars and what was accounting for it. They've informed us, as well as every other municipality in Washtenaw County, that beginning with the next winter tax bills, they do not intend to do that anymore. They're just going to simply give you one rate at the bottom. If you have questions, I guess you can call them. What we've decided to do early on is to include a flyer within the tax bill so that we still break it down and show you exactly what your taxes are going to and why. But the county has made a decision to go in the other direction as of this morning. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that'll add to more confusion for sure. On the minutes of the meeting, quick roll?
Yeah, if it's okay with the board, I would just like to table the minutes for tonight to make some last-minute changes, and I'll bring them back to the next meeting so that you guys can all have a chance to review those changes. And if you'd like, Madam Chair, the next, I guess that's for new business. Is that okay with everyone if we table those for tonight? And then we'll make a motion in the, just as a part of the consent agenda, we'll take it out of the, I could, if you want me to talk about the first thing under new business, I didn't know if you want to go over the old business first, though.
Oh, for the Calvary Baptist?
Yeah, if I can wait, if
Okay.
you want to do the Yucca first.
That would be fine.
Okay. Just the first item under new business, if you guys had any questions about that. This is a resolution for a temporary road closure, similar to the one that we did last board meeting for a race. We closed a section of Grove Road, which Trustee Peterson shared with me that race was very successful, and they raised a couple thousands of dollars for sickle cell, and so that was really successful.
Over 107,000.
Yeah, so that's great. And
With the two races.
so this is similar to that. It's not a race, but it's a community event at Calvary Baptist Church. It's over on E-Course Road, and they're proposing to do a road closure of that small section of Redwood between Davis and E-Course. So our resolution simply allows them to go before the county board or the county road commission, and then they would then approve or deny their request.
Is that the first year for them doing it? Yeah.
It's their first year for one outside. In the past, they've done fall festivals inside their gymnasium there. I actually attended the one last fall, and it was really well attended, so I think they're just hoping to sort of expand and, continue to include more community members in their event.
Yeah, that's great. There's no public, we got to go over the agenda review first, and we'll get to public comment, okay? No. We might, if we have, once we get through the agenda, if we have time, you can. The next item is for the National Kidney Foundation of Michigan. This is a great program. John is here, and you can go over it. Is it on?
Hello. Okay, John Hines, Recreation Director. Yes, this is a memo to approve the 2022 contract with the National Kidney Foundation of Michigan to offer enhanced fitness at the community center. So this program has been signed, this contract has been signed before with the rec department, but last was in April 2020, so I really did not get off the ground at that point. But now that they are willing to come back in the building, they have proposed to come back. It's no cost to us. They provide the cost through grant funding and provide classes 3 days a week for up to 30 participants. So it really is a great program, full benefit to us. All we have to provide is advertising, space for the program, space to store the program, and access to first aid materials.
And what do they work with, the seniors or all ages?
They say all adult ages. Primarily, their demographic is the 15 Beyond program, just due to the times they offer, which is Mondays, I believe, at 10:30 to 11:30, and then 2 other days, 1 to 2 p.m.
They're going to use the gymnasium?
Yep, they use the gym, and then they store their equipment in the gym storage closet so it can be locked away before and after their program.
That's great. I mean, really good that they're coming back and doing that.
It is. It's something that the 15 Beyond members were clamoring for, just more fitness classes, and of course, at no cost to them, which is highly beneficial, makes it more accessible to our members and the community and as a whole.
Okay. Are there any questions for John? Or? Thank you, John.
Yeah.
That's going to be great. And we're going to advertise it, right, so residents know what's...
Yep, we have a flyer, and it'll go in the next 15 Beyond newsletter, which will be October, and then obviously in the winter handbook.
Social media and...
Yes.
Speaking of when are we doing the flu shots and the vaccine?
The clinic is October 8th. So we have...
At the community center?
At the community center, yes, we have just put the flyers out in the lobby and then submitted to IT to post online and to get an email out, because it's now coming up, in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's a good thing, too, for people to know it's available. And that's not a drive-through, though.
No, they will be utilizing, you will have to come inside, they'll be utilizing the gym as well as 202 and 204.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
The next time is to approve the sale or removal of excess township equipment. Mike Hoffmeister?
Good evening, Mike Hoffmeister, Residential Services Director. This is an annual request where we come before the Board of Trustees to request and deem equipment in excess so that we can complete an auction via our financial policy. So there is an Excel document attached to the memo that shows some of the equipment we're requesting to sell. We'll do it through our financial policy process, do it through Mitten auctions, and hopefully make some money on some equipment that we no longer use.
Questions? And this is advertised and
That's correct.
other than Mint, no?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep.
so
But
the
Mitten is
public
just the
knows.
mechanism that we use for the auction, and then we'll advertise that there's a live auction taking place
Questions or comment? We do these,
about once a year.
yeah, every couple.
You said the equipment is available for view in Excel now?
Well, there's an Excel document in the packet
Okay.
that explains which vehicle or which piece of equipment we're looking to sell, deem as excess. And then if the board chooses to approve it, that will authorize staff to start the auction. We list it, we post it, we allow people to come visit it and evaluate the equipment. And then it's an auction where they could just keep bidding higher and higher if they choose.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If you want, the next item is to talk about the MDNR Land and Water Conservation Fund project at Community Center Park.
Yes, this is a resolution that is directly related to the project agreement, which is also on this agenda. This is a 2020 LWCF grant that we've been awarded. That is correct, the 2020 grant that we are just now getting to due to delays at the state and the National Park Service. So we've been awarded this grant as well as another one we'll talk about tonight. This grant will allow us to upgrade the tennis courts at Community Center Park, which are in disrepair and in much need of some upgrades. So we'll improve the playing surface, we'll improve the fencing around it, we'll also improve the grounds surrounding the tennis courts, as well as install an accessible walkway from the parking lot to the tennis courts, which currently doesn't exist. And so this is a 50-50 grant, as the resolution and the project agreement state.
And this will be for tennis and pickleball?
That's correct. Thank you. Yes. So the tennis courts, we're also going to minimize the footprint. Currently out there, there's 6 tennis courts. We're actually going to make it smaller just because we know not as many people have played in using those courts in the past. We're gonna bring the footprint down about 50%, and then we're going to have, I believe, 2 tennis courts and then 2 pickleball courts within that footprint.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm wondering about reducing the footprint just because I know that pickleball, we're one of the hot spots for pickleball, at least at Ford Lake Park.
That's correct.
So one of the advantages of Community Center Park is that you don't have to pay a fee to go play like you would have to do at Ford Lake. And I'm not sure it's as accessible to, you know, a lot of people who live on the other side. So I'm just wondering about that. And that in the back of my head, reducing the footprint when it is such a popular
Sure.
sport right now. Then the other thing I'm wondering is, I know that when we put in the pickleball courts at Ford Lake Park, one of the problems was the wind that comes off. And so we had a physician donate the wraparound piece. Are we planning for that so that that won't, like, not a donor, but planning for the wraparound to help with the wind that would happen at the pickleball courts there?
Yes, so to answer your first question, we can always, we've not gone to design yet, so we can always do one tennis court and 3 or 4 pickleball if we want to within that footprint. And then to answer your question about windscreens, Spicer Group, who is also on this agenda for design and construction services, helped us at Burns Park. And Burns Park took place after Ford Lake Park. And in the bid specifications are those windscreens. So we'll make sure that that takes place again. Great question.
So you can adjust the number of,
Yes, because we've not formally designed the project yet. So we can flex a little bit, whether it's tennis, pickleball, or vice versa.
So I'll clarify. So when you said reducing the footprint, you're talking about reducing the tennis, like, there's still going to be the same amount of space of
No,
court?
so the plan is, so right now there's 6 tennis courts out there. And so what we wrote in the grant proposal was to just, if you were to take it as is, put it into 3 tennis courts. And then within those 3 tennis courts, you can work in 1 tennis and 4 pickleball, or 2 tennis and 2 pickleball, or a combination of that within. So just the spacing of the current enclosure of tennis courts would get cut by 50%.
and this did go to the Planning Park Commission?
That's correct.
There's just one last thing as we're thinking about it. The other thing that it makes me think about is, in that location, it's a great location for somebody who hasn't played pickleball to learn. Just because it's so close to the community center. So when we think about things that we can offer, I just think that's something that we should think about.
Great.
Is the size, and before we reduce it, because, you know, once we take things out, it's harder to put things back in, so.
I know pickleball tournaments are huge now. They're building inside facilities and outdoor facilities for pickleball now. I've never played, but maybe I should try. Then the next item is for the development agreement with project agreement for that.
That's correct. This is the formal project agreement that authorizes the township and the state to go into contract for the project, to award, basically to accept the grant formally.
So this formally allows us to accept it.
That's correct.
This is what has gone to the Park Commission as well, right?
That's correct.
And the date on the agreement says that it had to be submitted by July 15th. You verified that.
Yes, we did confirm with our grant coordinator at MDNR that was an error, and that we actually have until September 30th to complete this grant project agreement.
We had until September 30th to formally accept.
Correct.
Not complete the project.
Yes, no.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
and that's to accept the project agreement, yeah.
Good. So, and this is $176,200?
Yep, that's the 50% of the grant award, so that's what the township would be responsible for.
We've had a lot of concerns raised over the conditions of our tennis courts and there's another, well, it's on the agenda too, right?
Right,
For Clubview Park.
That's correct.
That was another one.
that's correct.
Whoever thought it would be that expensive to repair
Tennis
a
courts.
tennis court? I had no idea. The next item is the letter of agreement with Spicer Group, which would be the professional company that will oversee the specs and the designs and the bidding procedure.
That's correct. Spicer Group is a great partner of ours. This agreement that you see in front of you is for design, grant administration, construction administration, and survey. Following, hopefully, approval this evening, we'll start design immediately with Spicer Group. We'll complete design through this year and go to bid for this project not until 2023. So we will be back to the board again, receiving permission to go to bid after the design is complete. Just another FYI for the board, if approved tonight, this will be a multi-calendar year budget item. So about half of the funds will be spent this year for design and survey, and then the other half will be spent next year for grant administration and construction administration. So just a note to keep in mind as we go through the budget season as well.
And engineering can be paid for out of the grant.
Can be reimbursed by the grant. That's why we don't bring these design agreements to the board until the project agreement's on the agenda as well.
Because there's a lot of grants that will not pay for engineering.
That's correct.
And this one will.
That's correct.
2020, huh? The next item is request approval of maintenance agreement with Relief for trees to be planted at Sugarbrook Park. Now, this is our first time doing this.
Yeah, this is a maintenance agreement for a partnership between Relief, who is a nonprofit group in Michigan who assists with tree planting events throughout the state, as well as the DTE Foundation, who is helping fund the trees. This basically states the township is going to be responsible for the maintenance of the 10 trees going in at Sugarbrook Park. So if approved tonight, there will be a public tree planting that will take place at Sugarbrook Park for the 10 trees. And then the township will be responsible for the maintenance of those trees. I'll be transparent in the fact that we do have limited staff on Parks and Grounds. With the 27 parks that we do have, maintaining trees is not our specialty and worries me a little bit. So we are exploring volunteer groups or neighborhood groups that might be able to assist us in maintaining those trees and taking that risk off township staff. So just something to consider as we discuss this tonight.
But Mike, we plant trees every year.
We do. We do have annual tree planting. Actually, in your packet tonight, as part of the budget amendment, we have a tree reserve fund where I'm requesting funds be taken from the tree reserve fund to the operating fund. We then go out and plant. We bid, and then we plant about 15 to 20 trees each year in our parks or the civic center or what have you. And then traditionally, when we buy those trees each fall, we buy a warranty with the trees. Instead of a maintenance plan, we purchase the warranty for a 1-year replacement plan for those trees normally. So we also do an annual tree planting each year. There's a reserve tree fund that we pull money from each year, as you'll see tonight, to plant more trees.
Do these have the gator bags on them?
The
gator bags?
Yeah, so part of this maintenance agreement is watering, and we, instead of hand watering each tree, we could get the gator bags that will go around the trunk, and we would fill the gator bags up, and then they would seep into the mulchy space beneath.
Do we have to ask for that then as part of this since?
Yes, I would want to make sure that we got those provided as part of the deal with Relief.
Should we ask them for a maintenance agreement? And then you don't have to worry about us not being able to, water them and take care of them?
Ask Relief to help maintain?
Well, ask them if there is can we get a tree warranty like we do with the trees that we buy and plant?
I have asked that question, and they said no because they expect the 3-year maintenance agreement. So in Relief's perspective, you can't have a warranty and a maintenance agreement. It's either a warranty or a maintenance agreement.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Mike, I'll just add, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, but just like when I look at the yearly maintenance schedule, I guess it's not as detailed as some of our other agreements, which I understand. It's just to be in simple terms to water and take care of the trees. But I know from the functional side of what that means for our guys and our staff and how that's going to look every year going through 3 winters, I just wonder if it could, I just would have liked to have seen a more detailed maintenance agreement, but I'm sure that I am just sharing your thought on that.
Yep, agreed.
One last comment I'd have is I'm really interested in finding out what our plan is for what types of trees we plant, because it's going to be important that we think about what we plant. And if it's going to be able to be maintained, depends on what kind of trees survive and do well here and thrive given changing climate. So I think it's important for us to start thinking about, if we're going to do investment, which I think we should, how we're going to spend time thinking about what gets planted and what needs to be here. Because a lot of, if you go to some of our parks and stuff, you can see that there's a lot of trees, but a lot of them are not necessarily well. And as we plan for erosion and those other things, we need to be thinking about what's going to be the best way to reforest or add things, because it's just going to be part of us being healthy as a community. So I don't know how we do that and how we decide, and if somebody donates trees, that's great, but I think we might have to take a more active role in thinking about what kind of trees are going to do best here, and from a maintenance standpoint and just from a health standpoint, like what do we need here so that we can thrive as a community.
Are you recommending approval, Mike?
I am hesitant on approval. I would love to say that we should do this if we have volunteers. I really, our Parks and Grounds staff, like I mentioned before, we have 4 full-timers taking care of 27 parks and Civic Center and 14B. And, this is a tough one because I don't want to say no to trees. I don't want to say no to putting trees in our parks. It's just maintaining the things we put in afterwards is sometimes a difficult decision when it comes to the staff that we have. So,
Can we put the 10 trees that's on the agenda later, can we put them in Sugarbrook and still,
absolutely. So
that might be a solution?
Absolutely. So a solution would be to take the tree fund money that we're recommending in the budget amendment and make sure Sugarbrook Park is a priority park for the new trees that we put in there as part of that annual planting.
You concern me because you normally don't say anything like that. That's a little concerning.
Yep.
As long as we can get trees planted in Sugarbrook.
Yep.
Which every year we plant
We do.
10 trees anyways. You're
Or
saying,
more.
yeah.
Yeah.
We just can't do the additional plus what we plant.
And the key thing about the annual tree planting is we get the warranty. We're not liable for the maintenance. We buy the warranty and we let Mother Nature handle the trees, and we do the best we can with trimming and basic maintenance, but we aren't held to a maintenance standard as this agreement's requiring us to.
Yeah, I was just going to, Mike, how many are we down staff right now?
We're not down any full-time staff for Parks and Grounds, but of course the seasonals
Will be gone?
will be gone in the coming months. We've already lost a couple, and then seasonals officially have to end in November, middle of November.
I'm not familiar with this grant at all.
Either am I. It was kind of sprung on staff. Again, we want to be willing and cooperate, but it did come to us abruptly and at last minute.
Okay. If we can take our trees and put it over there with the maintenance agreement, then we're still doing very well
You mean with the warranty?
with the warranty.
Correct.
Yeah, that we currently use.
Correct.
And that's for 1 year?
Yes,
And they die within, or survive usually?
or not, yep. And our guys will have, they do currently, the trees we put in each year, they do evaluate them each year, and then we make note and we get them replaced through the warranty program.
Yeah, because I read an article in one community, they planted all these trees and they died, and there was someone taking pictures, of them, and we don't
We don't want that,
Like, that would be worse.
yeah.
The next item is for the professional services for Loon Feather Park renovation, and can you give an update on
Sure.
where we're at with that? And
Sure.
why it's delayed?
Sure. So first things first, the agenda item in front of you is change order number 3 with Stantec. Stantec is our prime professional for Loon Feather Point Park. And this is another change order due to the continuation of the project. They're requesting $5,000 more, which is budgeted to complete the construction phase of that project. Previously reported, Loon Feather is still delayed due to the ADA hand railing, going down the trail. PGA, which is the primary general contractor, has found a subcontractor who is willing and able to fabricate and install the rail within 4 to 6 weeks, is what we've been told. And so that handrail will get installed with footings and furnishings and everything within 4 to 6 weeks. Therefore, we can complete the project, and we can, that's also an MDNR project, so reimbursement requests will take place, and you guys also allowed an amendment to take place at the last meeting. So allowing us to finish construction with the ADA handrail. So we found a subcontractor that's willing to do the handrail, that's willing to do it relatively quickly as well. So it's good news. And then this change order gets us through with Stantec Services through the end of construction.
And there's also a penalty, right?
Yes, so we've informed PGA of liquidated damages. We've had preliminary conversations with them about liquidated damages. That basically means that they didn't complete the job at the date, so we have $800 a day to penalize against the contract. Of course, we'll be fair. We want to be fair. We understand weather gets in the way, and we understand there are certain challenges with supply chain and staffing, but that is in effect to be used against the money that we owe them for the completion of the contract.
This contractor, we've had issues, haven't we?
Yes, they've gone over, they've had a number of staff changeover. They've had a change of their project lead, and sometimes non-responsive for weeks at a time from both myself and Stantec staff.
Yeah.
So Mike, are you saying that $800 would be a credit
Yes,
to the township from what?
800
We needed to pay them.
correct. So there's a contract value with the project.
Right.
Once they're informed that they're being held to liquidated damages, the contract states $800 per day, per workable day. So we take out January, February, March.
Right.
And then again, within reason, we just want to make sure that we are held fairly to the standard that they were expected to be held. Mm-hmm.
It's open, the park's open.
The park is open. There are still barricades on the trail because of the liability that comes with not having the ADA handrail.
Finally, but that was delayed too.
That was, yes.
This was not a good project from a contractor standpoint, for the residents anyway. The next item is the resolution for the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund project at Clubview Park.
This is a similar resolution to what you saw earlier. This is a 2021 MDNR LWCF grant for tennis court improvements, fence renovations, and grounds improvements around the tennis courts at Clubview Park.
50/50,
50/50 LWCF, same grant as the community center grant.
and the total is $295,000.
That's correct. $147,500 is the 50% share.
So we didn't budget for these in our draft budget, because we didn't know when we were going to get
Yep,
them.
that's
So
correct.
now when we go to our preliminary budget, we'll insert these in our budget as well.
When is the construction? Can you kind of walk through that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, assuming approval tonight, we'll get in touch with Spicer Group. We'll start design in the next couple weeks. We'll be going to bid shortly after the new year. Design will basically take the entire rest of this year. We'll go to bid shortly after the new year. If it all works out, the plan is to use, because Spicer Group will be used for both Community Center and Clubview Park, so the timing is perfect because they could design this as one project and go out to bid one time and maybe get one contractor to do both jobs. So the plan would be shortly after the new year, go out to bid, and then construction would be in the 2023 construction season.
We have received several complaints on Clubview.
That's correct.
I mean,
And we have put signs up on both fences
We
stating
did,
work
but-
coming, park improvement coming.
Yeah.
So we've done the best we can to inform our residents
was
that
this a 2020 grant as well?
this is 2021.
The timing is good.
It worked out.
And is there a way for us to, when we're in there and they start making the estimates and they start looking at, for us to look at if there's any kind of problem in, like, where the location is. I'm not suggesting moving it, but I know there are water flow issues in Clubview. There are places where water pools, which is not going to be the best thing if you're looking for tennis courts and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering, why did they deteriorate? I know we had a time period where we weren't able, kind of what you were talking about, Supervisor Stummel, with the budget. Like, at the time things hit us hard, it was hard to go back and repair things because we were just kind of taking care of stuff we could, the best we could. But I think it's worth asking, like, what's happening there that's making that happen?
Sure.
There aren't a lot of trees around that area, so I don't think it's roots or things like that. It's got, if there is a problem, it's likely water.
I know in the preliminary grant application, Spicer Group did work into the application and the drawing a very small rain garden, which helps our scoring when it comes to grant applications with MDNR. I know the water issues that you're speaking of are a little north of the tennis courts itself. So I think some water mitigation with the rain garden would help, but with MDNR grants, we can't move too far outside of the project boundaries just because of what's in the grant application and what's been approved. But I think leading to the comment about the potential deterioration of the courts and whether it's water related will be explored because of the fact we have a rain garden in, and we will make sure that the water runoff is done correctly and all those things.
And this has been approved by the Park Commission?
That's correct.
Okay, so to make sure. The next item is the request of the approval of a letter of agreement with Spicer Group for the professional services for Clubview Park.
You skipped over the project agreement for Clubview, is the one right above.
What do you want me to do?
You skipped over.
The project agreement?
Clubview project agreement, yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Request approval of the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Fund Development Project Agreement for Clubview Park.
Similar to community center, this is the formal project agreement that comes with accepting the grant and goes in with the resolution.
If these projects go over, do we have an opportunity to get more, or is this?
We've not in the past, so I don't think so.
But once we bid them out, we'll know the numbers better.
That's correct. Bids will come back to the board and we'll have a better idea.
Number 11 is request approval of letter of agreement with Spicer Group for the professional services for Clubview Park.
Similar to community center park, this is the agreement for engineering, construction services, grant administration for the project at Clubview.
Any questions on that? Number 12 is the request to approve to fund the Friends Indeed Community Mural Project located 1196 Ecorse Road. Can you show the mural, Lisa? In the amount of $14,500. So we did budget, and last year, isn't that, I don't know how many people have seen that, but that's on Ecorse Road. It's not far from Calvary Baptist Church and close to the ice cream place, yeah. So this was a community project that they did. The artist had it, it's almost paint by number, but that's not what it was called. But they gave everyone a specific color, and then you painted within the gray area to create that. So Debbie Swanson and I participated in it, and I was shocked at how many people. And we were there about 3 hours, and it just transformed right before you. So hopefully we can do more of those. Those are, and it's not specific to any business or anything. It's just community. It says it all. So we did have this, a budget item for public art. And so it would fit into that very well. And we actually have an invoice in there for the artist and what the cost was. So it's for $14,500. This Friday? Go ahead and say.
I was just going to add that they're having an event at the Friends Indeed location here on Ecorse Road. It is Friday, the 23rd. I believe it's from 5 to 7.
Any questions about that? It's cool. Hopefully everyone likes it, and it's a good community art project to have. Item number 13 is the resolution authorizing the Water Resource Center to exceed the statutory spending and assessment limit of $5,000 per year for the maintenance and repair of the South Ford Lake drain. They had a collapse of the drain, which caused water to back up everywhere, and this is an emergency repair. They require the board to authorize anything over $5,000, so this would allow that to happen. Any questions on that? Mr. Williams? The next item is the budget amendment. Did you want to do that, Clerk, or do you want me to go through it? I can go through
Oh,
it.
I can. So our budget amendment tonight, we have our election coming up in November, which I'm excited. We just got some of our ballots in. We're stuffing those. I won't go into my clerk's review, but just so you know, the November election is well underway, and we're really excited about that. We do have training just for the board on our new tabulators tomorrow, so looking forward to that. So that's the first part of our budget amendment, and we have a reimbursement coming in for the work done that's been done at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Treasurer Eldridge and I just signed the document to be reimbursed for that this week. There are funds being received from a DTE escrow account on behalf of the hydro dam. For BSR 2, the things we discussed with Mike Hoffmeister for the pickleball and tennis court improvements at Clubview Park and Community Center Park, as well as the tree agreement. There's a 14B district court PTO payout. And lastly, another hydro dam item, just requesting to receive funds from DTE that were deposited into the general fund.
Questions on the budget amendment? The next item is request to seek bids for roof safety improvements at the Ypsilanti Township Community Center. Mr. Hoffmeister?
Hello. This is a request to authorize the bidding for roof safety improvements. This is to meet my OSHA best practice and standards when it comes to pitched roofs and accessing our pitched roofs and higher roofs on the community center where our racquetball courts are. And so this project is requesting authorization, and Mike Saarinen, hydro operator, but also safety manager, has been working hand in hand with me on this project. This project will allow us to improve our safety with roof anchors so that we can access our air handler units and our rooftop units on the community center, as well as an enclosed safety ladder that goes from the first level of the roof up to the high roof of the community center. And basically, the high roof holds the air handlers that are over our indoor racquetball courts. And so this includes a safety ladder, some railed-in platforms, and then the safety anchors on the pitched roof. It's a very complicated roof. Some of it's pitched, some of it's flat, some of it's high. And with my OSHA best practices and standards with the one-man up rule, et cetera, we have to make some of these improvements so that we can continue servicing our air handlers, our rooftop units, and then our attic space above the racquetball courts are where our light bulbs are. And so we need to, in order to get to the top level, we have to get the ladder up to the top level so we can get into the attic. So, Mike, did I miss anything from your perspective?
Nope, you're all set.
Question? All right. So this is a MyOSHA requirement.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's the safest way to do it. And this will go out to bid and come back.
That's
to the
correct.
township. The next item, the request to seek bids for the building improvements for the Parks and Grounds Maintenance Building. This has been an interesting issue.
Yes, so this is a multifaceted project. We've had bats in our Parks and Grounds garage, as you guys have been updated throughout the past. We've gone through a few phases. We've done a cleanup of bat guano. We've done crack filling and sealing of some of the holes in the internal side of the building. This next phase, we've also had, I don't want to say bat specialists come in and help us allow safe exit of the bats, and not allow them to come in. So we've done multifaceted phases. This phase is to go out to bid for a number of things. One, it's to improve the roof. And what you see currently, the three pictures in the middle, it's a metal roof with an asphalt overlay. And that asphalt overlay was done in 2019, and we've been completing warranty work. We're trying to seal up all the holes and all the abilities that these bats have on accessing the building. So we're working with our contractor from the last job to complete warranty work. But this project is really hoping to fill in where you see those openings. The edges of the peaks are wide open between the insulation and the roof. And so this will help us improve our fascia. It will help us improve some of our downspouts and some of our guttering. And it also, in the bid specifications, will allow us, if chosen, to do an overlay or a retrofit of a metal roof on top of the existing metal roof, which has the asphalt on top of it. One of the things I want to note is, one of the questions we were asked is, can't we just get a new roof for this facility? Well, because of the structure and because of the design of the structure, if we were to choose to take off that metal roof, there are also support beams in there that would require additional architecture and engineering and design. So it was recommended to us that we do an overlay or a retrofit of the current metal roof with the metal roof you see in the specifications, as well as the fascia work, guttering, and downspouts.
Yeah, and to add to Mr. Hoffmeister's description here is, some of the problems we're having with the bats is not related to the roof ceiling that was done in 2019. So it was allowing the bats to crawl in. We tried to fill those, but those bats still are finding ways in. So in order to really correct the problem, we need to come up with a new fasteners and the gutters to fill in those existing gaps with the metal roof, the existing roof. And the overlay project, the new roof there, would correct all of that. So with the new roof, when they put the new insulation down in the retrofit metal, then we'll be able to go back in and abate the existing insulation in the interior where the bats are living. So that will clean up that and the mold that's in the potential mold, I shouldn't say that, potential mold that's in the insulation. So that would be a cleanup after the new roof or the exterior is fixed.
How many bats do we think is in?
Well, live bats, I couldn't tell you. We've found in the double digits of dead bats, sorry. So it has gotten better, but we still have one or twosies that pop in during the week.
Are we going to look at bat houses as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Now that we know we have they will go to the bat house.
Give them a new home.
That was going to be my next question. Where are they going to go if they
Yeah.
live there?
So I was working with an Eagle Scout about potentially installing bat boxes. If you're familiar with the space, there's a nice wooded area just to the southeast or directly to the east of our facilities. And so you would put bat boxes along that tree line so they have somewhere to go and live permanently. If there's no Eagle Scout or potential Eagle Scout, we would just build them ourselves or purchase them and put them up to hopefully eradicate them from our building and put them in a nice bat box.
Safe space, yeah.
Yeah.
Madam Chair? I just wanted to add, I really thank you for your consideration of the bats. And a part of our problem this summer was that there was like a season where you couldn't remove them. But we do, like, there are our employees work in this building every day. So, like, we can't have, like, we love the bats, they can't work with our employees. It's a safety issue. And so, I just wanted to share that, because I think if you're not here, you don't always see that, like, people are out there every day. So thank you both for your consideration on this.
Mike, did I hear you say the roof was under warranty still?
It is. So the asphalt roof that we put on top of the metal roof in 2019 is still under warranty. We have called in warranty work. You'll notice the two images from where the yellow glove is and to the right. There was some degraded repairs from that job, so we have called in the warranty work, and those repairs have been completed by the 2019 contractor under warranty.
some people were bit, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So this is, and they're awful comfortable too, hanging outside, right?
Timely.
I mean, I don't love the band. I know we need them, but I don't love them. But I do want to protect the employees and provide another place for them to go is a great solution other than in our garage with our people, right?
Yeah.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we can go up to public comments. If you want, we have about 20 minutes to do that, 3 minutes per person. And you can always talk on anything that's on the agenda in the next meeting as well. And there's public comments at a regular meeting on work session. And the license plate reader, I briefly looked at your email from Alicia Dyer. It's not on the agenda and it's not on the work session or the board meeting agenda. When it is, we'll notify people. Public comment?
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to talk on that.
Your name, please.
Alicia Dyer, Ypsilanti Township. So I sent in a resolution that was drafted by YCS students around following what Ypsi City did and banning license plate reader technology. And we are requesting that this happen as well at the township level. 87% of people from the sheriff's office survey said they don't want this technology. 999 survey responses in total. We were able to get a copy of those through FOIA, and reading through the comments, there was a lot of concerns that were very alarming that were brought up by the public. The overwhelming theme that was addressed too in talking with people is that license plate readers are reactive and we need more funding on a preventative level. We need community crisis responders, investment in neighborhoods, and things that are actually going to prevent crime, not just react to it. Our own ARPA survey that we did with the Y-Town ARPA committee showed the #1 concern in areas in our township was around mental health and youth programming. And this can exacerbate mental health issues. People don't want to be watched and they don't want to be tracked on this level. If we want safer neighborhoods, we need more investments, not just enforcement. And we've tried to use our traditional methods over and over again, and it's not working. If it was working, we would be one of the safest areas in the county. We wouldn't have gun violence. We wouldn't have some of these other things that we see happening. And so just really looking towards, instead of funding this enforcement technology, looking towards what else we could be using the funding for. So we're asking that you guys please consider putting this resolution that I emailed you on the agenda for the next meeting, so that we can talk about it. And we're also proposing that you guys look into possibly doing an ordinance around this to solidify a ban around license plate reader technology in our township. Some of these companies are concerned about profit. They're not concerned about safety. Even the upfront costs that they propose, they end up increasing over the years. And so that's really important. Additionally, we are going to be having a press conference after this outside, and everyone's welcome to join. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you have to kind of get close to it because it's voice activated.
Or hit the button. I had to turn mine on. Little button.
Tell me.
It should. There you go.
Sweet. Hello. Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm here with a bunch of people and also What's Left Ypsi. Sorry? I'm part of What's Left Ypsi, yeah. So there's a few things that are pressing, I think, right now. Like, for one thing, I don't know, it is the year 2022, and maybe we should have a little more accessibility in meetings like this. It would be nice if they were recorded. It would be nice if we knew when we could speak so that, because we've all been sitting here for like 80 minutes waiting for a chance to speak. We didn't know when we could. but 1 month ago, a bunch of people were here also and raised a bunch of concerns about the idea of license plate readers being installed in the township, including concerns like the security of the info they gather from hackers, from companies like Flock, from police members, from the sheriff's office itself, a lack of trust in the sheriff's office and how that info will be implemented now in the future. You know, they claim a lot of things, but nobody trusts them. Also, how the technology could be used to track individuals, especially in a post-Roe country. Also, what happens when the technology inevitably glitches, and how that relates to, you know, the history of racist and anti-poor policing. And there has been instances in the past of police murder in response to technology like this. Also, we never really were told the overall motivation for even thinking about something like this. So somebody last month pointed out that this is like a dangerous solution looking for a problem. But I raise these things now because Supervisor Stumbo, you did tell folks at the end of the 8/16 meeting that you would be answering those concerns individually. And so I wonder, has anyone had their concerns responded to? So that's embarrassing. And also just wrong.
We have no answers right now. We
Okay.
have to get them from the sheriff's department, and we will. We don't even have the survey. It came out in the paper afterwards, so.
Okay, we have the survey. We can give it to you.
No,
Yeah.
I know you did, because you did FOIA, which we received a email today at 2:30, 3 o'clock. I don't know what time it was, but we don't have all the information, and I don't want to give inaccurate information out, sir. So your 3 minutes is almost up, though, okay?
Our 3 minutes. But
me?
so I think you do owe it to us to tell us what you're thinking, because a lot of people are concerned. 87% of your township resident respondents, yes, 999 out of 1146 said that they disapprove of this technology. And you should know that. That's your job, to know that. So residents resoundingly don't want this, and folks in the city of Ypsilanti will also be surrounded by license plate readers if this happens. So it's our issue too. So I hope to see you all at the press conference. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kat Layton. I am just here as a concerned resident and citizen, and I just want to say,
Are you from Ypsi Township?
I think that is a little bit irrelevant to this positionality. However, I do live in Ypsilanti, and I do service people in Ypsilanti Township, and the cost of this surveillance is going to impact drastically people in also Ypsilanti City. Regardless, I know sometimes people don't realize the impact they may have on a community, even if it's well-intentioned. Like, what is the intention behind having surveillance? Is it to increase safety? Is it to monitor people? Is it to keep bad guys out of the area? But what you don't realize is that sometimes your intentions can be well input, but not executed properly. And it can cause drastic amounts of harms on communities, especially those who have been historically marginalized. And there's research that shows that flocking technology does drastically impact communities of color specifically. And now that you have this information, to do the opposite of what everyone is telling you to do, and to do the opposite of what is helpful to all the communities, including those that have been historically marginalized, is not only harmful, it is also ignorant. And we're concerned about bats. Where are the bats going to go? Where are we going to rehome the bats? Why don't we think about the people of our township as well, and the people of the city? Where are they going to go if we're disproportionately impacting them and putting targets on their back? I did a ride-along with the fellow deputy officer because I wanted to see what it was all about. And I was told that when they check license plates, they look for drugs, weapons, guns, and shit. And I asked, well, how do you know which car is going to have guns, weapons, drugs, and shit? And I was told, you just get a feeling, which does sound like implicit bias to me. And I think that is something worth noting. If majority of your residents said that they do not want this technology, and the underlying issue is not being treated just by putting surveillance cameras up and license plate readers. The underlying issue is still not being treated. What is that, and what can we do to spend that money on instead of just further causing harm to communities? And that's all I ask you to do. As a former public defense social worker, my job was to figure out why were people committing crimes? Why were people being involved in alleged incidences? The majority of the reason was because of poverty, systemic racism, institutional oppression, homelessness, mental health, substance use disorders. The list goes on. So why don't we spend that money on addressing the real root of the issue? Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think bullying and calling people names in internet or surveys.
Could you just give
your survey is different than my survey. I could go survey 100 people in the residence that are 100% for it.
Could you please give your name and if you're a township
Melissa Adams, and I am a township resident. So I do care what happens in the township. I mean, look at the city right now. You don't even have a chief of police. I mean, we need this. You don't. You lost 5 officers. People are disrespecting this court in the way, or this meeting and the way it's been run for a long time. Calling people names on social media. My one comment on a post got erased. How is that even a discussion when you're erasing my comment, the only one that was posted?
Please address your comments to me, and there's no discussion going back and forth.
Right.
People.
I don't appreciate the way that people come in here. This is a meeting, it's a public meeting, and people are being disrespected in this meeting. They're being called names. I'm a resident and I'm being called names because I choose for something and I believe in something and they don't. I mean, everybody has opinion. And surveys, like I said, you can have 100 or 1,000 people say that you don't want them. I have 1,000 people that probably say they will.
Thank you.
So it goes both ways.
No, please
exactly. Who are the people being surveyed in your survey?
We're not going to go back and forth in a meeting.
So exactly, how many times can they vote? Who are the people? Are they residents of Ypsi Township?
Your time is
or
up.
if they're residents of Ypsi City?
I'm sorry, but your time's up. Thank you for your comment.
Hi, my name is Bobby Matamanchi. I'm a resident of the township. I just bought a home down on Creek Bend earlier this summer. I teach at the School of Information at University of Michigan, and what we do at School of Information is study kind of technology like this. And there's a lot of evidence that you cannot trust what that company will do with that data. I know they say they delete it in 30 days, but there's numerous instances of many of these Silicon Valley startup companies selling their data. There was a new report out last week about Facebook was not deleting data that they said they were going to do. And if Facebook isn't doing it, what's some fly-by-night company going to do when they run out of money? And that's something that you can't guarantee. They'll come up with they have all kinds of incentive to come up with all kinds of algorithms about who's coming and going and using that to speculate on real estate or doing whatever else they want to do with it. And there's enormous financial benefit to them, and you have no ability on this committee to regulate that. And so if there's not a real need for it, I'm against it.
Thank you so much. That's good information. Thank you.
Hello, I am a resident of Ypsi Township, but I don't think that should actually matter since these cameras are going all around the border of the township and cars are going to be driving back and forth between the township and other places. And so it seems to me like not only the township residents should have an input, but anybody in the surrounding area should have an input because their license plates are going to be read. But yeah, just echoing what everybody else has said, we know that cops and other law enforcement agencies will buy data from Flock. That's happened. You can like literally just Google this and there's 8 million results from verified, peer-reviewed sources that will say this. Surveillance isn't going to solve the problems of like crime or behaviors that are harmful. If that did solve the problem. Like the Patriot Act would have fixed all of our country's problems as soon as we all got started getting wiretaps, and that hasn't happened. And so, yeah, just the concept of having a lot of license plate readers everywhere is very scary. Everybody should be scared by that. Nobody should want that. And everybody here has already done a great job of elucidating why that should be the case. So I'm just echoing all of that.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, my name is Ruth Cassidy. I am a resident of Ypsilanti Township, although I will echo that this does affect the surrounding communities, so I think, it's valid for them to give their input. I've also written to the board about this to express my opposition against these license plate readers, but I have yet to receive any response, and that's been over a month, I believe, since I've written, and yet received no response from you all. Even though you're supposed to be representing me. I'm really concerned about the risks that these pose to my privacy and civil liberties and those in my community, particularly for other people of color, for immigrants communities who have been targeted by these, especially with some of these companies cooperating with ICE to do surveillance of these vulnerable communities. I don't feel like this has, been given enough consideration. I will also say that people point to what the Washtenaw County Sheriff is saying he plans to do, but he's said he's retiring. So, it'll be up to whoever precedes him or succeeds him. And they might have a different viewpoint, so moving forward with that, that's another thing that I'm concerned about. I will say I also saw the survey results. 999 Ypsilanti Township residents responded against or no support for this. That was 87% of the Ypsilanti Township respondents that said they were against or did not support this. So I would also like to see the township put more resources towards the root causes that are affecting a lot of people, like poverty, houselessness, and things like that. Those come from, we also have a housing crisis that's going on that's being, not given enough attention. And I would like to see instead things done to alleviate those issues rather than mass surveillance.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, I'm Floki Ivy, and I am a teacher at Ypsilanti High School. I'm a resident of Ypsilanti Township, and where people live in relation to this, I feel is completely irrelevant. I would like to point out that the survey that we're referencing, it was done by the Sheriff's Department, and we had to FOIA it. So that is an important thing for you to know, and I think maybe you should have some access to that and some awareness around what the citizens of the community are saying. Also, I would like to speak on the accessibility of these meetings. I had so many students that wanted to come see what they wrote, to be civically engaged, to come here and see it read or see somebody even acknowledge their existence and the things that they believe should happen within their community. And it feels like that's sort of being ignored. I didn't even know how I could tell my students to be here, what time to be here, and stuff like that. They're in sports. And what are we telling to the students in the future of our community that we don't care about your time, your space, your sports, anything like that? You just have to sit here and hear about bat guano for an hour? My child, who is 8 years old, was like, Mom, aren't all these people here to speak on this issue? But what are they talking about now? I was like, tennis courts. What are they talking now? Bat poop. What are they talking about now? My child can even tell from this that this is an inappropriate use of your civic duty as our representatives. So I don't even know how to go back to my classroom and tell my students that this was the outcome of their efforts, their research. And you know what? They've done more research than you all. So I just think that's really embarrassing. And I think we could do better for our children. I think we could do better for our community. And I ask you to do better and listen more. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi there, my name is Chris Tebbins. I am a resident of Ypsilanti Township, although I will echo everyone else before me. I also don't think that matters. I'm also a member of Huron Valley DSA. So the survey came out 3 weeks ago, I know, because I went on the sheriff's office website and got it. It was put out there. I read through the whole thing. I think it's really a shame that you didn't get it. At the same time, I think it's pretty telling that the sheriff came to here and made a very impassioned argument for it, and then he didn't provide you with any of the information on it. He didn't even notify you that, yeah, this is out. I think that would have been a pretty big thing to release to you and to let you know. He speaks in there about how, we can't really trust the survey results because we messed up the methodology. Like, that really doesn't fly in today's society. Like, if you messed up the methodology on your survey, that doesn't mean that you get to invalidate the results of your survey that you made. You should have made a better survey in the beginning. If he wants to make a better survey and redo it, okay, then let's redo it. Okay, we'll redo it and we'll put all the word out again that everyone is out there. Also, I have a big problem about paying an outside company, a third-party company, $180,000, $200,000 a year, and then turning us into a product that they can sell with license plates. And not just us, but again, not just the Ypsilanti Township, it's Ypsilanti, it's Washtenaw County, it's everyone in Michigan who comes in and out of this area. If they get their cameras recorded, they get their cars recorded, I think that's a pretty bad way to do business in the community. I don't think we want it, our community doesn't want it, I don't think the surrounding communities want it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Elia. I'm a resident of Ypsi City. I know you guys are getting barraged, and I don't want to just repeat what everyone else has said, although I do agree with pretty much everything I've heard. For me, having been to several of these meetings by now, and having heard the concerns about the license plate readers consistently, and at first we heard, okay, well, we don't have the information yet, we don't have this, we don't have that, and that's fine, but we're 3 months in now, and you're still telling us that. And yes, I think it's like disconcerting that the people were able to get to that before you guys. That's something that should have been brought. It's obviously a huge deal to the community. And was I correct in hearing that we have 4 parks people, for every park in this area? Why are we spending money? Why are we looking to spend money on giving money to a private entity? That's just so depressing to hear. And I hear the care and the consideration that you guys give to whether these will be accessible community spaces, whether these will provide enrichment for the community. And I would love to see you guys focus more on that in a bigger scale. Think bigger, because you have the ability. That's what we're imploring you to do. That's what we've been imploring you to do for the past several meetings. Look, I work for a disability resource nonprofit. We're understaffed, we're underfunded. We know about the Hawk debacle that just happened. It's breaking my heart to be at work and to be taking new intakes and piling them onto our already overloaded caseworkers. And my job is elsewhere, it's over in Ann Arbor, but it's for Washtenaw County, and this is a pervasive problem. Police don't prevent crime. As a matter of fact, they create crime. They criminalize people. They punish people. Their purpose is community intimidation. Is it coming up on the
3 minutes? I'm sorry. It is.
No, it's fine. I just I would love to see, for one, recognition of the deep concern that the community has had, and for two, a shift as to recognize also that we are asking for a shift to community investment and to the kind of care that for our community, the people in our community, that you've shown in some other areas. Thank you.
Thank you. One last speaker, then we're going to take a break before the next meeting. And just so audience know that This isn't on the agenda. It's not on the regular board meeting agenda. We don't have all the answers. We heard the presentation just like you. So I don't know if it will move forward. And if it does, we will make sure that we have answers to everything and provide all the information and to let residents know it's going to be on an agenda. I'm sorry people come here. This is the second time people have been directed to come to a meeting when it wasn't on the agenda. That's not on us. We did not do that. We would not do that. And I'm sorry that happened the last time, and I'm sorry it happened this time. For everyone's information, public comments at the board meeting is at 7 o'clock, and you can always make comments there, and we try to get them here after we get through our work session agenda. So for future references, just remember that's the best time to make sure we can hear you. And you are the last person.
Thank you.
And when we reopen at 7, you can go under public comments then, if that's okay.
Okay, great, thank you. My name is Virginia Chase, and I'm a resident of Washtenaw County. I think that this is a very important issue, and that's why it's being brought up in any form.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm so sorry.
This is a very important issue, and I think this is why it's being brought up in any forum possible.
Thank you.
I was on the sheriff's Zoom call when he brought this up to the community, and I was absolutely appalled because my sense from that meeting was that this was already decided. These are public funds, and this is going towards the surveillance of people in our community. That means that women seeking abortion or other reproductive care will be targeted. It means that there will be more contact with the police from people of color and people in impoverished situations that already have excessive contact with the police. We have revenue streaming coming from interactions with the police. I'm deeply concerned that our municipalities rely on this funding. This is another way of increasing funding for our municipalities at the expense of the most vulnerable people in the community. I'm absolutely appalled that this is being talked about the way that it is, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from the community and finding real equitable solutions, such as having authentic conversation and finding out what the real needs of the community are, and I don't believe it's surveying. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's let one more resident go. I'm sorry.
Everybody else said it all. I just want to say that to me, it seems that you've been skating by because of a lack of media presence. And so, making these decisions that are incredibly unpopular hasn't bitten you in the ass yet, but it will because people are here and they're going to keep coming to the meeting. So if you don't change your behavior, you will be voted out or pushed out and made to resign.
And your name was?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I make a motion that we go to break.
All right, yeah. So we're going to go into the 7 o'clock meeting, and everyone's welcome to stay again for public comments at 7 o'clock if they wish.
My students made these signs for you.
All right, are we taking those for the I don't know. Everybody, we're going to do a press conference outside if you guys want to come. I don't think it's raining.
Well, it was.
Quiet.
Can I ask you a question? I haven't seen you in ages. Where have you been? Excuse me. I'm glad to see you.
Otherwise, we can just go over there and kill a bunch of people and that's, yeah. Well,
The rich get richer, the big companies have the money to do that.
Did you hear the story about how they arrested like how many people that were scamming during COVID for feeding hungry children?
I just heard.
No, they set up like this fake, we're feeding hungry children things and got like millions of dollars that they spent on things like resort homes and luxury cars and vacations and that. I mean, how low, how unbelievably low do you have to be?
There's so many unethical people
To set up a fake feeding thing,
I
to
heard that
steal
on the-
millions of dollars.
But, we are bad because we put the criminals in jail. But then, they didn't need to do it. Johnny didn't need to do this or that.
We don't have the right criminals in jail. We put people in jail for holding up a party store, but we don't put people in jail for stealing millions of dollars from the public. So I'm not saying that guy with the handgun holding up at the party store should go to jail, but I mean, let's have some perspective here.
Well, let's have some perspective with these kids. Kids are taught right and wrong. And you better believe, when I was growing up, did something wrong, we got smacked, and knew what it was. Now you don't dare touch a kid. You do right or wrong.
Well, my question is, who in this society right now even has an idea about what is right anymore?
Well, I don't come up and smack you.
No.
Just stuff like that. I don't put something there. I don't come and steal your stuff.
No.
The basics of right and wrong, these kids don't know that. They don't care. And they're rude to one another.
No. I mean, if you're, say you're a 10 or 12 or 15-year-old, you've spent all those first years of your life with an adult that's staring at a little thing in their hand instead of talking to you.
But who's all this that? That's the
We got 5 minutes.
But, that behavior is also reinforced. We say it's the parents' fault, but, we have all this stuff going on that's irresistible. So,
that's like a kid in the candy store. They don't care what's right or wrong.
no, it feels like that sometimes, that's for sure.
I am fine. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in ages.
I know. Were you walking this morning down Grove?
Yeah.
I saw you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was on my way to the road commission.
Oh, uh-huh.
So, looks like Mrs. Kaiser, and you're walking.
I have to do something because I seem to be eating more than what I
Well, it's not going anywhere, huh?
This is sweet corn weather. I'm proud of you. Some days I have 4 ears of sweet corn.
Okay.
So what have you been up to besides working at
So I am on the road commission now. I was not president of the new association because I turned it out. So I'll have space to do other things. Oh, I'm better using
Thank you.
companies in the community.
Hey, Shane. Good, how are you?
There were some things being bandied about.
I was on the board change something, so I was supposed to work 10 hours a month. It's kind of work, but it's nothing, it's not.
And also I heard somebody say something about the chief is coming. Oh. Okay. Who is what? Still Mike? Mike's been
good. Oh, yeah, well, I understand.